Welcome to The Release Show. I'm your host, Brittany Sconyers. On today's show, we have Leah Marie. She is a certified life mindfulness coach specializing in helping women find love, even after a heartbreaking divorce. Her 8-week program takes them through the steps of healing, understanding themselves on a deeper level, and clarifying what they want to or need in a partner. Besides helping divorced women, Leah uses her coaching skills to reduce stress and patience and improve their outlook on life, enabling them to live the fullest. Let's welcome Leah.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
Please tell me about your past as a corporate leader and how it shaped your reality today.
Well, I've just started this business about 7 or 8 months ago. It was a few months after quarantine started, and the idea of life coaching kind of just fell into my lap. I had heard the term being thrown around, but I didn't really know what it was. And when I did a little bit more research, it was like a light went off, inside of me. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect for me. This really lights me up. This is really what fulfills me. I would love to be able to help other people, especially women. I love empowering women. And I just feel like it's my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. And this is, I think, all of the things that I've experienced personally, the trials and tribulations brought me to the point where now I can kind of, lend a helping hand to other women who are in need. And so not only do I feel empowered by doing it, but just being able to help others is just really what fulfills me, on so many levels.
I think COVID has brought out a lot of our creativity.
Oh yeah, you spend so much time, inside, and you have to try to find ways to, spend your time. And yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people, and I feel like a lot of businesses actually launched during COVID because, and people who were losing their jobs and having to find other ways to try to, make an income and being creative, like you said, absolutely.
Yes, definitely. What started you on the path of becoming a mindfulness coach?
Mindfulness is something that is close to my heart because when I was in difficult situations, so I can give you a little bit of a background. When I was 16, my mother had an asthma attack in her home and passed away. She was 41. And then that kind of was the catalyst of me being in a really unhealthy relationship for a few years, a really emotionally and physically abusive relationship. And when I was finally strong enough to get out of the relationship, my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and then he died. And so by the time I was 21, my parents were gone. I had no siblings, and I had experienced a lot of trauma. And so I had a lot of years of just being very lost and not knowing, I had a lot to learn. And so a few years ago, maybe about 4 years ago or so, I was introduced to the idea of mindfulness practice, and it resonated with me immediately. It made so much sense. And as I started implementing the practice into my day-to-day and doing, meditations, I was doing guided meditations, I just started to feel so much better. And it taught me just how to accept myself fully and how to love myself just as I am. And it just shifted my perspective on everything. And so as I was doing, getting my certification to be a life coach, I took another course, and I wanted to get certified in mindfulness practice because I know how much it's helped me personally on so many levels. And it's such a great tool to be able to help other women as well, regardless of really, no matter what their circumstances. It's something that you can, it's available to anyone. It's something that you can do no matter how old you are or what your circumstance is. And so it's something that's close to my heart, and I have seen how much it helps other women as well.
That's great. So for those who don't know what mindfulness is, can you explain to them what that is?
Yeah. So mindfulness, really in a nutshell, is just getting out of your own way. We have a habit of letting the inner critic in our mind kind of take over, right? Or our emotions. When we get mad or sad or angry, allowing the emotions to run the show. So mindfulness is the opposite. Mindfulness is just being aware that that's happening, acknowledging those thoughts and acknowledging those feelings, but not reacting necessarily. Just being present in the moment, and that's something that has helped a lot of people with things like depression or anxiety. Because depression is usually thinking about the past, and anxiety comes from worrying about the future. And so if you can be present in the moment, those things won't have such a negative effect on you. It's just about being here now and not being in that kind of that time machine, that your brain creates for yourself.
Thank you for explaining that. Every business needs to choose a particular niche in order to grow and dominate. What made you decide to focus mainly on your coaching skills to help divorced women find love?
So I've been divorced twice. And the reason that I got divorced a second time was because I never did the work that I should have done after the first one to heal myself. From my past, I really had a deep fear of being alone. I had severe separation anxiety, like I said, from losing my parents at a young age and dealing with other things. And so I was constantly tying myself to relationships to make me feel better. And so it wasn't until I was able to force myself to just stand on my own 2 feet, and be independent, no matter how scary that was, that I could really learn how to be on my own, grow my confidence, build my self-esteem, and give myself everything that I needed without needing somebody else to make me feel whole. So, and I find this, pattern in a lot of people who get married for the wrong reasons, or people who, who just don't know how to be alone. If they've been married for, many, many years, and then they're divorced, a lot of people don't even know how to do that. And so it's really just the process of helping women heal after divorce so that they feel good on their own. They're whole all by themselves. They love themselves. They have, self-confidence, self-esteem, and they know how to set boundaries, and they know how to have standards. That allows them to then transition into dating so much more seamlessly, because they're not operating out of a place of desperation, or they're not just trying to find someone so that they're not lonely, or they're not trying to find someone so that they can prove they're lovable. There's so many reasons that people in a relationship. And so, that's my focus, is basically helping women not make the same mistakes that I did, right? It's like, making sure that, you're good all by yourself. And then if you want a relationship, that's, it's like extra, right? Relationships are like the decorations, like on top of the cake. Like, you don't need them, but it makes it look a little nicer, right? It adds a little value to your life. And so that's kind of the mindset you want to be in.
Great. Global statistics reveal that the divorce rate has doubled over 4 decades, with 5.5% of the people divorcing out of 1,000 marriages. As an expert on this subject, why do you think the numbers are going up?
Well, and I can also from COVID has increased those divorce numbers as well. I think it's a couple of things. We're living in different times now. I think, in my generation, so I'm 38, a lot of the people who got married, I think get married for the wrong reasons, whether it's, pressure from society, or that's just kind of, people think it's the next step, right? Oh, I've been in this relationship for this long. I guess this is what I have to do, is get married. And people get married, at an age where they don't even know themselves deeply enough to know what they really need their partner to have, right? So I think that as people, and now we're getting to, it's the year 2021, people are realizing that it doesn't make you a failure. If your relationship is not working and you're not happy and it's just not something you feel like you want to invest anymore in, it's okay. It doesn't make you a failure. There's no honor in staying in an unhealthy relationship for the rest of your life. And I think people are becoming, more okay with the idea. It's more of a accepted conversation to have. There's more support, there's more groups, there's more people talking about it. So people, I think, are more comfortable. And I think people are just more apt to be okay with not being in a relationship. They don't have to use a relationship as their identity. They're learning that, what, if this isn't for me, or if this, I'm not being fulfilled, or if this isn't somebody that I'm really compatible with, it's okay. I deserve to be happy, and I deserve to find the right partner for me. And so I think it's probably a lot of things. But I can, see also statistically, I think people are starting to get married a little later in life now. The generation now, they don't necessarily get married in their early 20s or mid 20s. They kind of are okay with being alone or just dating for a while and getting married later in life. And I think that's great. I mean, I think that the divorce rates will probably start going back down at some point, because there's just such a shift in the starting point for marriages for people.
What do you think couples need to do before and after their wedding to avoid a divorce?
That's a tough one. I think before the wedding is just making sure that you know yourself on a deep enough level to know, whether or not this person is compatible with you. Not marrying someone for the wrong reasons, being okay on your own, and making sure that somebody is adding value to your life. And as far as afterwards, then I think it's just a matter of, continuing your own personal growth. Being in a relationship doesn't mean you stop your own journey, right? Making sure that you're still working on your own spiritual development, your emotional development, doing the things that make you happy personally, because whether you're in a relationship or not, it's no one else's responsibility to make you happy, period. If you're in a marriage, you're not relying on your spouse to make you happy. That's not how it works. You have to continue to be able to make yourself happy. And I think just, really good communication between the two of you, having a good support system. People change over the years. And so allowing, each of you to follow your own path, even though you're together in a relationship, everything isn't parallel. You guys are going to kind of go off and still do your own things and grow as individual people. And that's okay. That's good. You don't want to stunt your growth. But it's just about being along the ride, on that journey with those people.
Great information. Thank you. Most people probably find it hard to believe that divorced people find it challenging to connect intimately with another person. What causes this shyness or distance?
I think sometimes it can be fear, depending on what kind of relationship they got out of. People are worried about choosing the wrong partner. People are worried about falling too fast. People are worried about being vulnerable. That's difficult for some people to be able to open up again, because being vulnerable is risky. That means that they are putting themselves out there to possibly get hurt, and that's scary sometimes. So I think it can be different things that might make people a little hesitant to do that. But that comes also just, again, like working on your own and working on yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you know your worth, the more self-confidence you have, that won't affect you as much, because, if you go out on a date or two and it doesn't work out, you're still fine. It doesn't matter. You're not hinging your happiness on whether or not, this relationship works out. You're good and solid all on your own. And that definitely takes a lot of the pressure off of, whether or not somebody's going to work out after a couple of dates.
Well, I think sometimes it's that people have these visions of who they want, and they want this person to be this, and they're not, and it's like, you can't make someone be something that you want them to be. You have to allow them to be themselves, because you're going to eventually make that person unhappy, right? I never try to make somebody be somebody they're not. If they're not that person, that's just not who they are. Just accept them for who they are, and then maybe they'll give you the things that you want. But putting so much pressure on them sometimes causes people to be so overwhelmed that, you lose yourself in relationships sometimes. You really lose yourself because you're so focused on trying to be perfect for the person that you're with, and you're missing out on making yourself happy. And if you're not happy, you can't make anyone else happy.
Right.
You can't. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. You have to love you just as much as you want to be loved. And I think that's the problem, is that people want to create this avatar person that they want in their lives, and it's just not going to work. We're all different. We're supposed to be different, You just have to make it work through those issues.
Right. You can't change that. And, and early on in the relationship, that's where, having your standards comes in, because I see sometimes that people are more willing to sacrifice their standards just for the sake of finding someone, having a partner, being in some kind of relationship. But, that long term, that's kind of a recipe for a disaster. You need to really know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, does this person, are they aligned with me and what I want for myself? And if they're not, then you need to be able to say, you know what, this isn't for me, or this isn't going to work, even though sometimes that's really hard because there's other great qualities that they have, or, they have a great job, or they're like really cute, or, you have fun with them. But if you're talking long haul love, commitment, it's not just about those things. They really have to align on all of those levels in order for you guys to really make it work. So, making sure that you're not sacrificing those standards that you're kind of setting up for yourself in the very beginning, can kind of prevent relationships from kind of crumbling just from, incompatibility.
I agree. Can you share with us some of the things you do in your program to help change the people's perspective and help them find true love?
So, well, I'm no matchmaker, so I can't promise that I help people find true love. But what I really focus on is helping women make sure that they know who they are, by helping them understand their core values and beliefs, helping them just understand themselves on a deeper level, and helping women heal. A lot of people have things that they're carrying from past relationships, and so anger, guilt, insecurities, fear of, abandonment, fear of abuse. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Making sure that I'm helping them heal those wounds before they start another relationship, because you don't want to drag that stuff into a new one with you. And then helping women clarify what and whom they're seeking. Because if you're ready to hop back into the dating arena and you really don't have a clear idea of what you're looking for or what you need, it's much more overwhelming. It's a lot more stressful. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? It's just like seeing what sticks. And it's just kind of a more difficult way to go about it. So helping women really clarify who it is they're looking for, what they really need in a partner, what their values are, on a very deep personal level, so that they know when they're, on these dating apps. A lot of this stuff is, COVID, it's a lot of it online, and Zoom, there's Zoom dates and all kinds of stuff like that. But really just having an idea of exactly what you want, it just simplifies the whole process for them. And then of course, building confidence. I mean, I'm all about helping women build their self-esteem and confidence, shifting those negative mindsets to more positive thought patterns, positive affirmations, working on things like self-love and self-worth and, all that good stuff. That's all part of the program.
Well, sometimes people are not just holding things from their past in relationships. Sometimes they're holding things from their past from their childhood.
Absolutely.
About how they've been raised. And so that kind of trickles into your relationships too, which causes a lot of issues as well. So with those kind of clients that you have, what kind of steps do you take with them who are hurting or have trauma from their childhood that is affecting their relationships?
It's just a matter of a lot of conversations, just really talking about it and getting really down to the root of it. It all stems from some kind of fear. So, uncovering what that is and what that means and what that feels like, and allowing space for it. Because a lot of times when we have those fears or insecurities, we kind of push them away, right? They're uncomfortable. So we don't want to feel them. We don't want to process it. We want away with it, but then it's still, it will always be a part of us. It's like a shadow. So kind of allowing space for that to kind of surface and then sit with it. And when you do that, it helps take away the power. It just letting it be a part of you and not resenting that part of you, accepting that as a part of your past without making that something that defines who you are, and really just working through that, and the mindset shifts and what your perspectives are and why, and helping women kind of shift it a little bit and seeing things a little differently. A lot of times it really is just a matter of talking about it, because when you're in your own head, you are, we're patterns, right? We're programmed. We just kind of know what we know and do what we do. And sometimes things are happening that we don't even realize. And so when you can just have a conversation with someone that can kind of pull some of that out of you, it just kind of opens up this whole, new way of seeing everything. It's like the filter kind of changes and you can look at things in a different perspective. And that just kind of, makes you feel better and has you look at things in a more positive way, and helps you understand parts of yourself a little better that maybe you were struggling with.
Let's talk about your new book, Create Your Own Legacy with Mindfulness. What inspired you to write the book, and what your readers hope to gain after reading it?
That I did not write a book.
You did?
No, it sounds fantastic.
Oh my gosh, we must have read that somewhere.
I love that. No, yeah, it wasn't me.
Oh my gosh. So where do you see yourself in your coaching business in the future?
I would love to eventually do some, once we can get COVID under control, I would really love to do more personal group events. I would love to be able to invite women into my home and have different sessions with each other, doing different things, and just, empowering each other, supporting each other. I love that kind of stuff. So doing more in-person, group things, I think would be fun. I would like to do that in the future. But I will always be doing, my one-on-one coaching too. That's really, really what I love to do. And so I'll definitely always be doing that as well.
Do you have a mentor?
I do. I feel like I look up to a lot of people, but I actually have my own coach as well. So, I meet with her on a regular basis, and, I hired her in the beginning of my journey, my coaching journey, to kind of help me, kind of navigate, starting the business and, doing coaching and, what that looks like and how I can do a good job. Meredith Alexander is her name. She's wonderful. And so she's definitely somebody that I look up to and I go to, and who, lights the fire under me and is really great and supports me too.
Who's your biggest influence and why?
You know, I honestly don't think that I can name one single person. I think that I take little bits from so many people, and whether it's just other coaches that I am friends with on social media, whether it's people who are bigger influencers like Gary Vanderchuk, Gary V. I love him and his positivity and motivation. Women like Oprah, women like Michelle Obama. I really, anybody, I'm the kind of person that like watches documentaries all the time just because, Michael Jordan, I mean, my God. So, and anybody who has overcome something and focused on using that to drive their, themselves to greatness is an inspiration to me. Anyone who can, take something negative and turn it into fuel and decide they're not going to let them, let that keep them down. That inspires me. And those are people that I look up to. And those are people that, I love to, to learn about.
Great. So is there any more information you'd like to give the viewers about your program and what you're doing and how they can connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. So if this is something that you'd like to do, if you're a woman who has gone through a divorce and you feel like you're, considering maybe getting yourself back out there, you could definitely give me a call. You can go to my website. It's mindfullyready.com. I'm also on, Instagram and LinkedIn and on TikTok, all at mindfullyready. And you can just shoot me a message, or you can give me a call, or just set up a free consultation. I'm open to just talking with you and having, a conversation about what's going on and kind of what you're bumping up against. And I can, we can kind of figure out if it's a good fit. And yeah, it's a great program. It's helped a lot of women. It's an 8-week program. We meet once a week via Zoom. So it's nice and easy. You can fit it into your schedule. And it definitely will help do everything you got to do to get you prepared to really feel good about getting back out there.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing all this valuable information. We look forward to seeing your journey in the near future. Please subscribe to my channel, and thanks for tuning into the Release Show. See you next time.
Thanks so much, Brittany. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.